Welcome, everybody, to Advance Online. And tonight, we are so blessed to have three visitors with us. We have Terrell Huntley, we have Cassandra Hegwood, correct? Hegwood? All right. And DJ Langton. And they are going to be sharing with us some perspectives on what is going on in America right now and how we can be responding in a way that pleases God and causes progress. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves, tell us your name, your connection to the church, and the last time that you were bitten by an animal.
I'll start. So I'm Terrell Huntley, and I'm on staff at Forest Hill Church as the college director, Hill City. And the last animal I was bitten by was my wife's a chihuahua. So that was on accident. He panicked, but
oh no, was he cute enough to forgive?
No, I don't think he's cute. So.
I'm Cassandra Hegwood, and I am a 7th and 8th grade girls life group leader at Valentine, and I also help lead worship at Valentine.
And your last battle with an animal?
A mosquito. That's what I'm saying. A mosquito bit me.
Sounds great. Thanks for being here, Cassandra.
Awesome. Well, my name's DJ. I'm currently, I guess, a senior now. I go to the Valentine campus. Yeah. I guess I have a cat, and you know how cats are when you pet them too much. They're like, it's either you get it perfectly or way too much. And it was at that time where it's kind of like leaning towards too much, and she kind of gave me the friendly nip. It wasn't a full-on bite, thankfully, but it was just kind of like, hey, enough's enough. So thankfully, I was about it.
Yeah, cats really draw the line when things aren't going exactly how they want it. That's great. Well, I'm glad you guys survived these encounters with animals and mosquitoes. And I'm so glad that you guys are here with us today just to share your perspectives. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to get into discussion. Lord, thank you for these brave people. Thank you for their stories that you have written in their lives, and the results of which they will share with us today that will help us grow as people, as followers of Christ, as bridge builders, and as world changers. Thank you for what they will say, how it will minister to me, and what our community as a whole will learn just as a result of their willingness to serve today. Bless our conversation, and may it be glorifying to you. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. So for the past 6-ish weeks, or well, most of quarantine at least, Advance at Forest Hill has looked at the life of Joseph. And if you're familiar with the story of Joseph, he went through a lot of unpredictable stuff in his life. And we kind of wanted to help students find ways to lean on their faith when stuff was really wild and unpredictable in the world. And as a result, things like really rocked their life. And 2020 has been like that. Maybe, the worst year in American history since 1968, from the coronavirus outbreak to now the shocking headlines of the murders of many people of color, including Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. And these are just a few of the names of the many people who have suffered this kind of injustice. And I just wanted to start by asking you guys, how would you summarize what's wrong right now with our world, with our nation? How would you summarize what's wrong?
I would start out to say that I think what is wrong has always been wrong. And I think it's just being filmed now, right? And so that has helped people gather behind and ask themselves, like, is this right? And how, and am I part of the problem, as well as the coronavirus, as well as Kobe Bryant's passing, as well as, so people are tired. They are very, very fatigued, and it shows. Personally, when I get tired, and I'm in a bad mood, and so you are catching a lot of people like just in a bad mood. What is wrong has always been wrong since this country has formed, right? It's just being exposed again.
I also think that what's wrong is that people have become numb to it, to where it's just another headline, oh, there's another dead Black man killed by a white cop. And I think that with the standstill, the stop of the world, basically with the coronavirus and having to be forced into our homes to be able to see what's going on a daily basis, to where you have no other blinders blinding you. You're having to force to be looking at these things. Now it's no longer something that you can be numb to, where you're just like, oh, that's just another so-and-so, on to the next cocktail party or on to the next ball game. Everything stopped to where now you have to focus on the hurting. You were being numb, and now you get a chance to feel what privilege and injustice is exactly what it is. You're forced to see the hurt and the pain and the agony of everybody, what they're going through. And you get to feel it. You're actually getting to feel it because you care about these people.
Mm.
Yeah, I think just the circumstances that we've been in has just kind of compounded everything. You know, like what both of you guys were saying. Like, this has been wrong since, it started. It's like nothing in history has changed anything. So I think just the current circumstances that we're in, it's just, you're right. It forces you to realize that something actually is wrong. There's a legitimate issue going on. Like, it's not just like, we have been numb for a while, and it forces you to, hey, this is alive and it's still a thing and it needs to be changed. I think that's.
I agree. It's hard to be thankful for coronavirus, but if we look back and say this is the purpose that it served, like maybe then we can believe that God could use coronavirus for good. There have been a lot of conversations about what's been going on. I personally feel like I've seen more conversations these times because of exactly what y'all are saying, that it got people's attention, that these events, these recent events, and even police responses and governmental responses to protests and such recently have been more exposed. Do you guys think that there's been differences in the response from the rest of the world to suffering and oppressed communities of color?
For sure. And I'm still trying to figure out, I'm still trying to internalize why and how, from 2016, right? When there was so much police brutality, right? And then this whole wave of this happening. And I remember, like, the Black Lives Matter hashtag was a sin, right? It was so much controversy. And now, 4 years later, everybody is using it. And in my head, I'm like, what really changed? Like, what's the difference? Because I've had some friends who were white, post videos in 2016. And if you go back and watch them, and then they are posting now, and it's the same language, and it's like, man, and I repent. I've played a part in this. The question that I'm asking a lot of my white homies is like, I don't get it. What changed? Like, why now do you feel like there is the racism and in your heart, and you said this 4 years ago, and I could actually tell that there's a change in you. It is interesting, and for me personally, of like, I'm still trying to figure out what changed, because the same thing is happening.
I've had some friends as well change, Terrell, from 2016 to where they changed they would what am I trying to say? They would say that it is wrong to say that just Black Lives Matter. Don't use that hashtag. Use all lives matter, because literally all lives matter. This was the speech in 2016, like Terrell was saying. Same speech is coming over here, but now with, like I said, with the focus being having to be on that, we're able as a Black community to say, this is how I explained it to my friends on my social media. My house in my neighborhood is burning down. Everybody in the neighborhood comes and they're helping me to put the fire out in my house, but my neighbors are all saying, hey, what about us? What about our house? Our house, it matters too. And everybody looks over to the neighbor's house and they're like, oh, you guys are okay. You know, you're not on fire right now. You're good. We'll come visit you when we're done helping this person. And the other neighbors are like, well, that's ridiculous. Our house matters too. And that's the problem. Yes, your house, your life, you're important. You are. But what's happening in the Black community is that we don't have that insurance, that privilege, the tenacity that every white woman, white man has, that their house, their life is already protected. You're safe. Our house is on fire. We are being killed by not just cops, but we're being killed even by each other. And our lives need to matter more to just us that don't take our lives. Like we're suffering. And I see my white Caucasian friends saying that for me now. You are right. I see you. This is really happening to your community, and I'm sorry. I'm standing up with you. I'm putting down my beliefs about all lives matter, because yes, all lives matter, but all lives are not at stake. We're not endangered like you are. You are an endangered species. Black lives are endangered. We're targeted because of stigmas and stereotypes and whatnot. But not every Black person is this way. Not every cop is that way, But it is in fact that we are being killed, and we are being seen as the lower, part of the totem pole. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say that I'm of mixed race. My mother is white and my father is Black. I was raised for a little bit with my white mother, and in her home, I saw the privilege. I was part of that privilege. I got to see it. Big, nice homes and being able to sit down first, here and there and everywhere, to then being adopted into a Black family and seeing, wow, really? Just because we play our music this way or play our music that way, now we're seen as trash, and that's hard, and I have to take on 4 Black little kids that are my own Black children. And also knowing that no matter the fact of how much white I have in me, my driver's license says Black. I'm a Black woman. Mm-hmm. America sees me as Black, no matter the fact that my mother's white or not. I'm a Black woman. My driver's license tells me so. Mm-hmm. I have to deal with that too. So I'm ready. I'm ready to see this rise that I am already slowly seeing in social media, that yes, our white friends, our white community is finally starting to see that this is a real thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have fallen into the trap of complacency for a long time. Mm-hmm. And the message that we had a couple of weeks ago with the ladder example, with everyone's kind of automatically born into a different rung on a ladder. And a lot of people, whatever rung on the ladder they are, I think they've been given a little shove. They've been given, with this whole thing, they've been given a little shove for action. And I think they're realizing that, and they're now starting to not even having to be forced to be shoved. They're willingly now at least recognizing that everyone should be on the same ladder, that should be on the same rung. And without being shoved, they're trying and at least hoping to make an effort to go down a rung as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that, DJ. I think that's a really good point. This kind of white defensiveness has always been a very common response to this topic. And I think it's because of exactly what you guys are saying, that there's a system in place that white people are comfortable with because they're at the top of that ladder. but we are seeing, I do feel like I've also seen what you guys talk about, of this shift from people talking about all lives matter through conversations that people say, well, you say all lives matter, but you're acting like Black lives don't. So fill me in. Like, where's this gap? There's an important issue of equality, but it's also urgent. The urgency brings it to the spotlight because people are being murdered wrongfully, and the murderers are not being punished by the justice system in the same way that that they would be if the shoe was on the other foot, if this were done black on white.
Really, which is why I think it's important to, because you see a lot of people on social media saying, oh, they're being thugs and they're looting and they're rioting. And that is the language of the unheard. Like, you get, like what Terrell was saying, when you're angry, you're going to react. You can't do it. If my son was that child on the ground and somebody was holding him down and for 8 minutes and he couldn't breathe and he yelled out, Mom, oh, I'm tearing the club up. I'm going to tear somebody up. And that is why you get looting and you get rioting and you get the unheard people just screaming in the room full of people and no one's listening. That's where you get that. And it's not because we're bad people. It's because you won't listen. And you won't listen, then that's what you get. And now that we're getting some attention and that the justice is being served, you're finally getting the calm. Okay, we're protesting. We're bringing it down a notch. Calm it down. You don't have to do all that. We've been heard. Be calm, protest, peaceful. You're seeing cops on a bended knee in front of a raging crowd, ready to just, submit. And that's what needs to be addressed. Like, we're not bad because we're rioting and we're looting. We're hurting. We were crying out for help. Help us. Just like he was asking for help when he couldn't breathe and nobody was helping him. That's what the Black community was doing. That's where we are being seen as wrong. And we're not wrong. We were just trying to be heard.
Yeah. The picture of it's so wild. It's so wild. The picture of that happening.
Yes.
The video is, there's a white man, a cop, who has his knee on, George's neck, right? And so it's crazy how God works, because and you freeze one of the frames of that, and it's a horrific picture, but just what Cassandra said, it's exactly what's happening. And so what happened in that moment, as people were watching the video, Black people, they put themselves right
in his place.
In his place. And they're like, okay, this won't happen to me. I'm going crazy. Like, right. That's what Cassandra said. Like, if that was my son as well, like, I'm going crazy. You can go ahead and
lock me up. Here you go.
Get the bell, right? Get out
have the bail money ready.
Yeah. Take out another loan on my house.
Yes.
I'm going
all of that.
The thing is, and that's what America, and not even America, this is also insane too. The whole world is backing this. And different countries have different, they have the same issues, but different magnitudes. And it's funny to see London and England and Australia and I'm like, y'all don't even live here, and y'all saying Black Lives Matter. It is a perfect storm that I think God knows, like, exactly what He is doing, and it's just amazing to see how all of this is playing out. Amazing.
Yeah, and to your point, Cassandra, I think, like, there's been this shift of, well, really all of you guys made this point in a way. There's been this shift of people going, of white communities slowly drifting away piece by piece, person by person, from this all lives matter mentality where they say it's like terrible that Black people are being killed by police, but they can't destroy property, to having it flipped and saying it's horrible that property is being destroyed, but police must stop murdering Black people. And it's this priority shift of humanity. And Terrell, I think it's really interesting you talk about the world state of it, because there's two things that come to mind. One, there's this systemic oppression based on hierarchy that's always come from colonialism. Mm-hmm. Our roots of slavery come from that same colonialism that's viewed always as good in the white eye, that traditionally has been viewed always as good. We're starting to question that. I appreciate that people want to respond well. I think, DJ, your generation stands out to me as a generation who has stepped up in terms of activism, especially when it comes to informed activism. I've seen Gen Z posting things about proper usage of hashtags. I've seen them make distinctions between non-racist and anti-racist. I've seen Gen Z making donations of their summer jobs to organizations that are actively serving people of color in these current situations. And that inspires me. Gen Z continues to surprise the world.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. That's all for the first part of this conversation, but there is more that will be released tomorrow. So make sure that if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so that you are notified and you know when it comes out, so you can keep watching. Thanks.